It's time for Varsity Spotlight, where high school sports is the headline. Brought to you by Queen City Home Store, your whole home destination.
Hey there, everyone. The high school football playoffs roll on tonight. I'm Jeff Taylor, and this is Varsity Spotlight.
And I'm Jack Taylor. Now, along with winding down of the fall sports season, winter sports have also started up, including basketball. So we're going to check out some action from around the area in just a few minutes.
And we'll also head to Providence High School and introduce you to our Varsity Spotlight feature athlete. This young man plays on the defense for the Panthers, the number one tackle in our area. That's coming up. But first, let's look back at round 2 from playoff last week.
Yeah, we got some great playoff action here. We take a look at some of these big games. A number of teams, it was their first game of the playoffs after getting a first round bye, much like for West Charlotte, and they didn't need any time off really to get back going. No rust for West Charlotte. They run over Providence. Then we take a look at Myers Park up against Chambers. Brody Keefe doing Brody Keefe things, and the Mustangs able to roll over Chambers as well coming off the bye. Take a look at Mooresville now up against Butler. Two teams that aren't used to seeing each other, but Brody Norman is used to finding the end zone. Butler getting the dominant win. Our game of the week was Huff over Palisades. Huff, number 1 seed in the West, coming off of a bye, and they have no problem up against Palisades, winning 63-7. So then you're going to see Lake Norman as well. They got some big games going up, and they needed a big win here in this one, and they would find it. They had exactly what they needed, getting the win over there, East Forsyth. So they're going to be taking on a big team. We'll tell you who that's going to be here in a bit. So some other big matchups. You had Indian Land getting their first playoff game. The 3 seed, they got the much needed win and got to go into the second round here. So Indian Land, they didn't get their perfect season like they wanted to, but a big win in the playoffs is definitely helpful. We see J.M. Robinson doing what J.M. Robinson does on both sides of the field, getting a big win as well. So they advance to the next round of the playoffs. We'll talk more about these matchups coming up as we go later into the show. Keeping on here, we take a look at some more big games here, some more big ones. See this play right here. The big one from Northwest Cabarrus. They start off strong in this game. They were trying to get to the second round to play J.M. Robinson, but Oak Grove had other things to say about it on the road. And Oak Grove gets the big upset over Northwest Cabarrus. So that's going to be a big win for them. Northwest Cabarrus seeing their season end in this one. Independence having no problem against Page in this first round of the playoffs. It was on the ground, it was through the air. They did exactly what they needed to move on to the next round here. You see some other big games as we're going through. Ashbrook trying to keep their perfect season alive, taking on Statesville, another rival in their area, and they get the win that they needed to move on to the next round. Then you see Mount Pleasant getting a big win as well over Tuscola. So they've got a big win here that they desperately needed. Mallard Creek, one of the big surprises of the first round. They fall on the road or fall at home early in this first round, so they are out for the count. Monroe handling West Rowan. No issues there for the Red Hawks as they move on to the second round, which might be a bit more of a different story. So a lot more of action that we saw from round 1, but there was one performance that stood out above the rest. Let's take a look at our NIL Spotlight. We take a look at this play. Katie Cotton, the Weddington Warrior, who's headed to Duke, had a solid night against Marvin Ridge in their first game of the playoffs. He had a huge catch there. And this scoring drive, their second scoring drive of the game, he was on every facet of it. Katie Cotton now lining up in the Wildcat and doing the toss, looking like Derrick Henry over the line of scrimmage. He gets the big touchdown pass there. You see him celebrating, and so a big game for them. It's definitely what they needed there, and he's going to continue to do so throughout the postseason.
All right, absolutely. Now, with a wrap on last week's action, we now turn to tonight's matchup, and we start with our WCCB Game of the Week, which kicks off at the top of the hour. It is the NCIS AA Championship game between Providence Day and Charlotte Christian.
Yeah, Providence Day lost last year's championship game by 3 points to Raven Gap. It appeared the two were on track to meet again for the title game, but Charlotte Christian had other plans as they beat Raven Gap last week to advance to tonight's championship game. Providence Day comes into this one with a perfect 12-0 record.
Which they've never had.
They've never had. Charlotte Christian spoiled it a few years back. Raven Gap did as well. And they beat Charlotte Christian early in this year, 46-20. But in that game, their starting quarterback for Charlotte Christian, Newcomb, goes out early in that game. And then you had Jamal Rule, who wasn't really quite healthy. So both of their offensive weapons, along with Vincent Rosen, are going to be healthy in this one. So it's a neighborhood rivalry. Previous scores, records, what have you, really go out the window when it comes to this game.
Shift culturally to recognize that our school views them as our big rival. And I think it's become a great rivalry now because we won some now. And I think there's a lot of, I think there's mutual respect. We certainly respect those guys. But, look, I also know what it's like, when you start winning and, people don't love a winner unless you're part of that team, right, that program. So I'm sure there's a lot of people pulling for us to stub our toe and lose Friday night.
Talked about it, yeah. Charlotte Christian, when Greer got there, had won 11 straight times in this matchup. Since Greer's been there, it's been more of Providence Day on the winning end. So both teams really want to get this state championship win. It's the first time since 2022 it's between two North Carolina schools for the state championship.
Been a while.
Absolutely. And so Charlotte Christian was excited to get into it, but of course they're not done yet.
The state championship is back in North Carolina, which I'm all for, man, all for. So it's great, man. It's such a special rivalry with, the two schools being so close, and it's just so unique, man. So school up the street, school down the street, man. I'm all about it, man. It's great. It's fantastic, man. So not a lot of love between the two schools, man. That's just how you want it to be.
All right, we'll see what happens there. Now, this is just one of the matchups in the Queen City. We'll keep an eye on tonight. There are some other matchups coming up tonight. West Charlotte hosting Myers Park. Both teams coming off convincing wins in round 2. Can Myers Park, however, pull the upset? We'll have to wait and see. I'm sure they'll be ready. I mean, that team, listen, you got Brody Keefe. Anything can happen. That should be a good ball game.
Yeah, Myers Park has definitely shocked the area with some big wins, especially in non-conference play. That really sets them up well for this one. Monroe has had an up-and-down season with Coach Johnny Sal taking on South Point, so the reigning state champs up against the #1 seed. And Monroe really wants to show to people that, the flukes that they've had at the beginning of the year were just that.
This is going to be a good ball game, and I know from Monroe, Coach Sal done a great job. It's like you said, one taking on a state champion, reigning state champ. That's a pretty big game there.
Yeah, but a lot of people are wondering if South Point really got an RPI boost from the win over Hickory at the beginning of the year there, so it'll be interesting to see. Further on, we've seen some big games. Crest is taking on East Lincoln, a 4 versus a 5. This could be like a 120-point game.
Yeah.
I mean, these two teams are offensive juggernauts, and the winner of this game will take on the winner of South Point Monroe. So there's a lot of conference things there, a lot of rivalries going on. This is going to be a really huge game in the postseason.
It'll be fun to watch that. We could have some fireworks there. Oh, we go. We're going to have Mooresville. They're going to be taking on Reagan. And we know with Mooresville, they hang their hat with Brody Norman. Mm-hmm. They live and die by that quarterback. Look for him to continue to lead that team toward a championship. It's tough.
Absolutely. We got Weddington. We saw a big win over Marvin Ridge, hosting Lake Norman. Can Lake Norman slow down that Weddington offense? It looked like they had the chance to upset Mooresville at the end of the year. We saw, then they lose that game. So Weddington has had some up and downs, and they definitely stayed in games longer than they probably feel like they should have.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how they're able to do. Of course, there's a lot of other big matchups that will get you the scores for when we come out tonight.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting when I think about, for me, I think the Myers Park West Charlotte game to me is the one I really want to keep an eye on.
Absolutely.
West Charlotte continues to roll. Myers Park, Craig, Coach James over there has done a great job with that team. This could be a game where West Charlotte slips up, I think.
Look, they have to come out correct. They have to come out strong early on in this one because you really have no margin of error when you're taking on a team like Myers Park, but the same can be said for Myers Park.
Yeah,
they have no margin of error against West Charlotte. It's going to take everything from their guys to have a perfect game there, so it'll be interesting to see. Now, coming up next, we'll head to Providence High School and shine our spotlight on one of the defensive players that is really shining in the Queen City. That is straight ahead. Welcome back to Varsity Spotlight. Last Friday, we headed out to Independence High School and introduced you to one of the best offensive players in our area.
And today, we're going to shine a spotlight on who might be the best tackler in the Queen City as we head to Providence High School.
My name is Colton Bogan. I am a senior class of 2026 at Providence High School. I am the middle linebacker and have been for the past 4 years. I've always loved being around football, watching, playing. So from 6 years old until now, I've always been around it, and it's just given me so much that I could have never asked for. I swam for 3 or 4 summers. I played rugby for 2 years. I've been wrestling since freshman year of high school. I played soccer for 7, 8 years.
We were hesitant to put Colton in football. We thought we'd start him out really young and maybe he wouldn't want to do it. And from that moment on, he was hooked and we knew that we were in for the long haul.
I started collecting football cards at 3 years old. I have thousands in my room and a couple loaded binders. And since then, I would sit in front of the TV on Sundays from the morning game until night, until my bedtime of 8 o'clock. I've been born and raised in Charlotte, North Carolina. I've been in the same house for as long as I can remember, since 2 or 3. I have a younger brother and an older sister. My younger brother is now a freshman, so I get to take him to school every day, and it's super fun. And my sister is now a sophomore at Wingate University. My parents are incredible. They both came from military families, but they've been so much, and they've meant so much to me. My brother's my little me. He's been playing football and soccer and rugby and swimming, and he's done everything I've done.
To watch him be a mentor to his younger brother is, it's amazing and it's beautiful. To be on the sideline and watch him grow into the mentor to his younger brother that he's become is something that my wife and I are incredibly proud of.
And 5. I tell you, man, Colton Bogan he's that dude. Just 5'11", 185, knocked out. Great play there by their leading tackler for Providence, Colton Bogan.
So Colton's the leading tackler in 8A football, and sure enough, right, just the relentless effort, the coachability, all that stuff. It's just great to see him blossom as a senior.
Colton's stats are he is the #1 tackler in 8A in the state of North Carolina. It's an amazing feat. It wasn't surprising. We kind of knew he achieves those things. It's amazing to watch.
I think what shows is my effort. Whether it's scraping or flying around, I'm a tackle leader in the state for a reason. I put in the effort to make sure I get it. Line, pass coverage, everything I do it 100%. And I think the other players see that, and I think they look up to me in the fact that they see I give effort, and it almost installs them to give effort as well. I have just that snap when I step on the field to go make a play and have my impact felt, and that's something that I continue to do, and it's why I lead my conference.
Right, and I told him, I said, if you read the line of scrimmage like you should, you can beat the running back there and you'll make 1,000,000 tackles. And sure enough, that's why he's the leading tackler in 8A football.
Every game's the last drive of the game. There's no reason, again, for me to give anything less than 100%. So if there's a play I can make, whether it's the game-saving one or the first drive, I make it. That's what I do. There's no difference between 4th, 2nd, 3rd. I play everyone like it's the last one I'll ever play, because you never know when that is. There's an infamous quote in my family. It comes from my dad. There's 2 positions in a game. It's on the field and off the field. So do everything you can to work yourself onto the field.
I watch Colton be an amazing student, and I watch him be an amazing athlete and incredible on the football field. But the thing I'm most proud of is the person he's become. We are incredibly proud to see him and watch him grow.
The things that we teach, the things we take pride in off the field, you could see that he has bought into that as well, just by the things he's involved in. You know, his GPA is over a 4.0. He's always involved with different things in the community.
I just want to become the greatest person I can be. I want, at the end of my life, or at the end of my time playing football, to say that I gave everything I gave, everything I could give, and that's something I try to do every day.
Offense. That's a great tackle, too, by Bogan. Goes low and cuts those legs from underneath.
My hope for Colton, man, he's a high academic kid. He wants to go to a high academic school. The hope is that he can go continue to play football and be a high academic kid, right, and achieve great things.
I would like to go to college. I would like to play, whether it's walking on to a higher academic school or not. I would love to continue this journey that I've been on since so little, and that's just something I've always dreamed about.
He loves football. He loves football. He loves football more than life itself, and if he could play football the rest of life, he would do it. Colton, we love you. You are an incredible young man. You have been successful in everything you've ever done, and you will continue to be successful. We are honored to be a part of your life. We love you.
My name is Colton Bogan, and this is my Varsity Spotlight.
Yeah.
One quick thing, okay, is face mask.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be all white.
Yeah.
And there's white and black,
Yeah.
where the paints come off. You know you got a linebacker when you've got that on your face mask.
Absolutely, and just an awesome story, and just a really awesome perspective, right?
Yeah. Let me just give a real shout out real quick to our team again. Josh Francis, Paul Lutz, Boogie do a great job with these. And as a matter of fact, next Friday, Black Friday, a week from tonight, we are going to show for the best, and that's what that show will consist of for Varsity Spotlight next week. So great stuff, great stories. And listen, if you have a story that we can tell, reach out to us on our website, hit us up on our social media. It's just, it's awesome.
Absolutely. All right, well, coming up next, we're going to take a look across the Queen City and surrounding areas and check in on some hardwood action from this past week as winter sports have tipped off their season. Welcome back to Varsity Spotlight. I'm Jack Taylor. The state championships for soccer are up for grabs, and we want to preview some of the games that will be played tonight and tomorrow. We start out with 7A. Marvin Ridge, the 1 seed, up against Chapel Hill, the 4 seed.
Marvin Ridge, I mean, we've talked about them every week.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a better team.
Yeah, and they've shown that in the postseason, and it looks like they're going to try to continue to do so. Funnily enough, they played each other in football in the first round of the playoffs. So
oh, really? Okay.
Marvin Ridge looking for that double dip over Chapel Hill.
Exactly.
Moving on now, we see the 6A, Charlotte Catholic, trying to pull off an upset. They've done so over the 1 seed to get to this point as well.
Right.
So up against another 1 seed in Middle Creek. That game will
Is 1-2 really upsets?
No, it's not. But hey, I mean, you have to get to that point.
You look at it, yeah.
So that game takes on tomorrow afternoon.
And then one more for you?
Absolutely. We've got, that's not right there, not Western Alamance, I believe. We have to double check on who that other one was, but it's not Marvin Ridge, clearly.
Right.
So there's another team from our area in the 5A there, and they're going to try to take on for theirs. So it's going to be a lot of state championship action for soccer. We've got a couple teams in now this 8A bracket, our 8-class bracket.
Right.
So more of the chances for teams in our area to come away with a trophy.
Absolutely. All right, let's head to the hardwoods. Some basketball action. Teams got their seasons going. We start Ardrey Kell playing host to Cuthbertson. Cuddy getting some inside scoring. Braylon Creek right there. As for the Knights, they had their inside game working also. Jaden Washington is going to come up with the drive and the bucket. This one go back and forth. Ardrey Kell a little sloppy, but in the end, the Knights going to win this one. Cuthbertson comes up and down. They kind of play close, but Ardrey Kell goes on to win this one, 60-56, evens their record out at 1-1, and Cuddy loses their season opener. Next up, we have Chambers playing host to Myers Park. This one was a close one. Chambers early on with some inside scoring after some nice ball movement. Myers Park, on the other hand, shows they can light it up from deep. The 3-ball coming up for the Mustangs, nothing but the bottom of the net. Let's head back to Chambers off the missed shot. They're going to get the strong putback for the Cougars. Cameron Thompson with a dunk with authority. In the end, Chambers wins this one 66-64 to get to 1-1 on the season. Myers Park losing their opener.
All right, now let's switch to some women's action from the hardwoods. We start with Mallard Creek and Marvin Ridge. Early on, the Mavericks with the hot hand from behind the three-point line. Kiara Anderson buries the deep baseline jumper. And on the other end of the court, the steal, Shakira Gangula lays it up and easy for the 2 points. Back to Marvin Ridge, and one again getting the job done from deep. The 3 is good by Haley Linehan. How about another 3-pointer from Marvin Ridge as well? Kate Schindler finds nothing but net, but with even all that action, Mallard Creek would win this one 48-33. Now, last stop at our hardwood highlights, we have Monroe hosting West Meck. Early on, West Meck connecting on the deep shots that they needed desperately. Now, while they're hitting from the outside, Monroe was making sure to drive the ball through the paint, work it on the inside, the drive for the layup. Monroe is up early, 20-9. The Redhawks would get strong play on both the offensive side and defensive side of the ball, and they get the big win over West Meck by a score of 57-28. Monroe winning their season opener, also their home opener. West Meck drops to 0-2 on the season. Now, back to that state championship for soccer.
Okay.
It's going to be East Lincoln taking on Western Alamance, the 2 seed up against the 2 seed. So that'll be that action for you. Not Marvin Ridge. They're good, but they're not that good.
Exactly.
They're not that good.
All right, stick around. We have one more segment for you. Coming up, we'll dig deeper into the playoffs. Best of the plays. From 2025 on the gridiron. We'll show you some of those coming up. That's next.
Welcome back to Varsity Spotlight. We are just a few minutes away from kickoff of our game of the week between Providence Day and Charlotte Christian right here on WCCB.
All right, now last week we showed you 12 of the best football plays from 2025. This week we want to focus in on 4. We'll do that each week between now and the football season, then we'll select the play of the year. So here are the 4 for this week. We're going to go all the way back to week 1. Cuthbertson getting their first touchdown of the 2025 season. This 70-yard run by Mason Iovino against Audrey Kell. I was at that game. Let me tell you what, that is one tough running back right there. Week 2, wonders of A.L. Brown playing host to Concord. Quarterback A.J. Settles calls his own numberjack and goes 90 yards for the touchdown. You have to love a 90-yard play, and of course you normally don't see it from a quarterback and that early in the game.
Absolutely. Now week 3, we're going to shift over to the defensive side of the ball. Samaj Robinson shutting down the 2-point try from Charlotte Christian. The final play of the game there, Charlotte Christian was going for the 2 and the win, but Robinson had other ideas, so they take that big win there. All right, now ending out with week 4, it was a historic night for Valentine Ridge. The Wolves getting their first win as a program. Ace Alexander making a nice grab in the end zone, giving the Wolves, like I said, that historic game there. So it's going to be hard to choose between those 4, but luckily we won't make y'all do it. We're going to do that.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning toward Valentine Ridge right now. It seems like you get that first historic win. It's a trivia, question answer.
Right.
So I like that, but I mean, Mason Iovino, the kid's tough right there too.
Yeah, I won't say anything yet, but we'll have that one and then the next 4 for you next week. All right, that is it for this week's Varsity Spotlight. And stay tuned for our WCCB game of the week between Providence Day and Charlotte Christian.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one.
Absolutely.
State title, we'll see who wins it. I'm going with Providence Day. I think they're just too tough.
Absolutely.
And of course, after that game of the week, make sure you stay with WCCB. We'll bring you all the scores and highlights from round 3 of the playoffs on the Blitz. We'll see you then.